One of the things that I was thinking about during the week was to keep something beautiful. You know, a story brings people together. If you're at the dinner table and somebody talks politics, people get divided. But if you're at the dinner table and somebody tells a story, it's amazing how connected people get after a story. So there's another thing too. After a story, there's a silence. Did you ever notice when somebody really tells a good story and at the end of it, nobody says anything? There's just a big silence. And in that silence, people really belong to each other. That's the power of a story. And when you contrast that to talking about politics or talking ideas, which end up in dividing the dinner table and everybody argues with everybody else, it's a no-brainer. So if we're going out to engage now that the lockdown is apparently in this month of May coming to an end, and you're sitting at the table outdoors or wherever with your loved ones, tell them a story. Tell them a story. It's the absolutely best way to do it. And I'm going to tell you a little story about something that happened to me many years ago. Well, 7 years ago, I was in a hotel in Cork one night, and I was stuffing myself with duck and ice cream and homemade chocolates. And I was washing it all down with a brandy. And there was a friend talking to me about her husband's passion for football, because I had invited the two of them out, and I was talking to her on the phone. She said he's away at a football match. So she came to the dinner. So it was me and her. And we were talking about him, the husband. And as I say, she was talking about his passion for football. She was saying he never shows any emotion with me. But it didn't bother her because she knew he loved her and he showed it in other ways. When she was gone, dinner over, she left. I went upstairs with the last brandy and I fell asleep before I could finish the brandy. So in the morning, the room was soured with the aroma of stale alcohol. I went downstairs and I had a kipper for breakfast. I always find a kipper is great after, when you have a hangover. There's nothing as good as the strength of a kipper to sort of rejuvenate you. So I had the kipper, and then I drove as far as Ballycotton. I just wanted to walk on the cliffs because I don't often be down in Cork. I don't often have a chance to walk the coastline, that long, extraordinary coastline from Cork City right down into Kerry. So I drove out. The sky was blue, and there was a helicopter hovering over a boat in the silence. I walked for 2 hours, and I met 3 young American boys who were studying politics in Cork. Had a chat with them. They asked me to take a photograph, and they were giggling at the camera like teenage girls. And on the way back, I met 2 women, French women, approaching on the narrow passage. We exchanged pleasantries about the blue sky and the whiteness of waves crashing. They said they were from Paris and wondered where they might get a good meal. So I recommended the hotel that I was in, mainly because I intended staying there another night myself, and the thought of sharing a glass of wine with them if they happened to turn up in the hotel that afternoon was attracting me as a good idea. I would be glad to join you peut-être for lunch, I said, in a comic French accent. I think you are a funny man, one of them replied, and they laughed like the boys did earlier, and then they went off down the cliff, walking. See you later, one of them shouted back, at hotel, which for some reason made me feel as light as a feather and as jolly as a girl in a Jane Austen novel. But it was at that moment, that precise moment, that I got a text from a friend in Cavan. Now, I was having a very up moment, I had engaged with the young American guys, and then I met these 2 French women, and they seemed to be like as much into the flirtatious fun as I was, joking about, see you later. And that gave me this kind of lift. You get really alive and engaged with yourself when you're meeting other people and when it's going well. And at that very moment, as I say, I got a text, and the text told me that Mary Ellen Dolan had died. Now, who is or was Mary Ellen Dolan? Well, Mary Ellen was over 100 years old when she died. She was a tall, slim woman. She was a patient wife to the very robust Jimmy McBarney, who used to sing Willie John, a salacious ballad about a man who did nothing but lie in bed while the wife did all the farm work. In the song, she complains to him with the words, "Get up, Willie John, it's the middle of the day." And in the song, he tells her that he's minding his health underneath the blankets, where he lives as snug as a bug in a rug, and that she'll have a man when others have none. It's a great satirical song about the big, fat, lazy man lying in bed all day. It was a lilting, teasing song, and Jimmy McBarney used to sing it with understated fun. He used to perform it as if he owned every word of it and every attitude inside it. And I often heard him sing in the middle of the night, in houses full of returned Americans, full of good whiskey and accordion music, in the long ago days when it seemed normal to be up all night singing because nobody had much to do in the daytime. And we used to tell the Americans that Live at 3 was the Irish version of breakfast television. I always envied American men. Whenever I saw chrome trucks on television and long highways stretching towards the setting sun, where a man could lose himself between cities, like someone in a Steinbeck novel, or a drifter with a guitar like Bob Dylan. When I lived in Mullingar, I drifted in the Jeep sometimes, on Ireland's new motorways. But I could never get a sense that I was away from home. Even in the most remote Centra filling station in Ireland, I always ended up talking to someone who knew me. This country is too small to ever find a stranger. Anyway, let me get back to the hotel in Cork. When I got back to the hotel that afternoon, went to my room, and I found Jimmy McBarney, Jimmy Dolan, on YouTube. I found him singing a love song. And that made me think, of course, of Mary Ellen, the wife, who had just died. She would tap her foot to the music as her husband sang. She was a graceful woman, sitting in the corner, and light as a feather to dance. So I imagined her coffin resting before the altar in winter sunlight, and the congregation of old friends around Glengevlin Chapel bidding her a restrained farewell as she headed out on her big adventure. Because in Ireland, death is the big adventure. The place where we get lost. The mythic West, where no one grows old. Our nomadic home lies beyond the grave, a space that opens vastly for us to wander in. And after looking at YouTube and having a little reflection on the passing of life, I looked out the window and I saw the young French women walking up the avenue. And I rushed out to my room, down to the bar, so I'd be just in the right spot for them to notice me when they came in looking for lunch. I suppose that's about what you'd say in the midst of life we are in death. You know, that there's always this balance between beautiful things happening and sad things happening. And I suppose that I find as I get older, the sad things increase, but so do the beautiful things. So when I was in my 30s, when I was young, I didn't go to that many funerals because I didn't know that many people who died. And when somebody like an uncle or a relation might pass away, I was fairly neglectful. I wouldn't necessarily go to the funeral at all if I didn't need to. And if I needed to, sometimes I would see it as a duty. I'd be thinking, well, this particular aunt, I didn't know her very well, and here I am. And you do the old kneeling in the church, maybe for the removal, and the coffin comes in, and the rosary is said, or the one decade is said, and then you shake hands with various people. But you wouldn't be engaged with it all that much, because you felt at 30 years of age, somebody dying in their 70s, it was just so far away from you. It was so old, like, my goodness. But as you get older, it is absolutely amazing how more people who are close to you die, and then you come into my age, I'm 68, and you find, wow, they're taking them out of my pen, as the sheep man says, about the sheep. It's us that's on the way out. That's a really interesting experience. And then going to funerals becomes very important, and it matters to you, and you care about it. And then COVID happens and you can't go to funerals, and you're standing on the side of the road, and it's very, very hard. But in general, between watching other people pass away and having an experience, as one does at this age, of fragility of health, things go wrong in a way that they used not to go wrong. When you're 30, you're perfect. You don't have to worry. If you're lucky to be blessed with good health, you just get on with life. But when you're in your 60s, you're kind of watching things. Do you know what I mean? You're watching your blood pressure, and you're watching your heart and your cholesterol, and you're taking tablets for everything. The funny thing is that the sadder it gets in that sense, the more beautiful it gets as well. You move your focus in life from the engagement with other people and the engagement with the erotic energy of the beloved. When you're young and you see people along the street, and you want to be dancing, and you want to be engaging romantically with them. But there's something very deep happens as you get older. There's a kind of capacity for love that begins to be everywhere at your fingertips. It's in the trees and the lake and the flowers and the mountain and the wind and the air and the clouds and the wild birds. They have a charge which is the transformed eroticism of youth, so that in your heart you are forever young, and forever the beloved is reaching out, revealing to you presence, intimacy. Funny old world. As an old man, I started off praying like a devout little idiot, like a pious little clergyman. And then I gave it up and I threw it away, and it was 1984, and I met the beloved, and I fell in love and had a wonderful, wonderful life. And we're still blessed with good health and still engaged with each other intensely and beautifully. But as I see the passing of life, and as I see friends and loved ones passing away, and as I see my own body fall into fragility, has declined in the lapping of the ocean, in the wind rustling the leaves of the trees, in the mountain air, the skylark, and the bird song in the mornings. I am forever young and forever in love. Or not so much in love as loved. There's a one to think about. There's a phrase to whisper to yourself when you're walking, no matter what age you are. Whisper to yourself, I am loved. I am loved eternally. And you will know it's true if, as you walk, you remain in the here and now. You just allow your body to be present to the cosmos as it manifests around you, as the trees and the air envelop you. as you feel the wind on your skin, as you feel the sound of the earth under your feet, you will know it's true what you whisper. I am loved unconditionally. And that, no matter what age you are, from 20 to 90, is a wonderful experience. And I hope you have it today. I hope you have it as the lockdown loosens and people get out more and we're able to go a little bit further on the 10th of May and move around to different places in this beautiful island of Ireland. I hope you have that experience and that you whisper, I am loved, and that you know it in every fibre of your body and soul. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here. Tomorrow is the 1st of May, 2021. Have a wonderful summer. Bye-bye.